Turn your mic on. There you go.
Thank you.
They can hear you now.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'd like to call to order the February 10th meeting of the Thornapple Kellogg Board of Education. Could we have roll call, please?
Brock,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Wenger,
Here.
Price,
Here.
Hilton, here, Stanton, here, Hess, here. Have a quorum.
Thank you. Could we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sorry that there isn't room for everyone in here, but as you can imagine, the fire marshal dictates how many people can be in the room. If there are empty seats, you're welcome to come in, but otherwise, hopefully the seating in the back will suffice. At this time, though, however, we'd like to have a moment of silence. I'm sure we're all aware of the tragedy in the Moore family with the loss of Natalia. I'd like to ask now that we have a moment of silence in honor of Natalia and the family. If we could do that now, please. Thank you. Our hearts go out to the Moore family and friends at this very difficult time. I'm sure we're all saddened by this tragedy. Adoption of agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to see removed from the agenda? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to adopt the agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Thank you. Public communications and correspondence. Public content. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Members of the public may address the Board of Education during public comment for up to 3 minutes. Speakers will be recognized by the presiding officer and are asked to state their name, address, and group affiliation if applicable. As a reminder, all comments shall be directed to the board and not to staff or other participants. No participant may speak more than once. Participants may not behave in a manner that is disruptive to the orderly conduct of the meeting. The Board of Education does not respond to public comment. The superintendent will follow up with speakers when appropriate. So at this time, we will begin public comment, and if we could just be orderly about whoever wants to provide public comment, and Derek Brock has offered to keep an eye on the clock to try to keep things fair for everybody. If you come to the podium, please, so everybody can hear.
Yep. Hello, my name is Jason Moore. I'm Natalia's father.
I reside in Trenton, Michigan, 1834 Woodside. Thank you. I met Tom. You came up to the hospital, so thank you for that. We did receive support while Natalia was in the hospital, and thank you for that. There's been outreach continuously. I do appreciate that, and I know Mira does, and the rest of my family and friends do. But at the same time, there's a lapse. And that lapse affected the care for my daughter. I went up to the school with her mom, and we found out days after what happened. And I know that she emailed the school, and that I work in a school district. And if we're not following our policies and procedures to the fullest and contacting the parents when a child is brought in the office for any reason, that child's not going to feel safe. Your childs aren't going to feel safe. They're not going to feel free to talk. The school did try to correct themselves, but this was after multiple times of us going up there. When the first time we stated that if our daughter is in the office again for any reason, even if it's on her doing, we need to be notified. Our child missed out on school time because she didn't feel safe. And I have a hard time grasping why we were not called. I have a hard time grasping how my daughter probably felt. Because she should be able to make that choice of going back to the classroom, but instead she did not feel safe to. I'm here just to, there needs to be change, and there needs to be communication, because that communication was lacking. And I shouldn't be here right now. No parent should be here right now. And my time is running up. I do thank you guys for reaching out for our daughter, but there needs to be consistency.
Thank you for your
That's it.
comments.
Consistency, please, and change.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
Lauren Cartwright, Hastings, Michigan. Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Cartwright, resident and parent of 2 teen TK students. I'm here not just as a concerned parent, but right now our system is failing them. Inconsistencies in the reporting, handling, and follow-up of the inconsistencies has created an environment where students no longer trust the system and are conditioned to be silent. Parents feel unheard. Repeat offenders continue their behaviors unchecked. There can be no exceptions, no bias, and no favoritism. This is not just a school issue, though. This is a community issue. It involves every student, teacher, parent, and admin. We need action right now. We must do more to educate our students on the culture, to respect their schools, themselves, and each other. Bullying has no place in education, and we must be proactive and not have to be reactive as we are right now. TK needs clear expectations for behavior of students and protocol for the teachers and admins. To ensure all students, staff, and parents are aligned in their understanding of those expectations, We ask that first you hold a school-wide assembly to address the recent events, acknowledge students' grief, and emphasize the need for compassion and accountability. Take immediate action to show that bullying is not TK strong and it will not be tolerated. Communicate this at every opportunity to bring respect, unity, and a bond between all students, because bullying is not what we do here. Second, create a committee dedicated to address the issues head-on. Not a temporary group, but an ongoing team of educators, parents, and students working together to identify problems and build real solutions. Third, use the tools the teachers and admin already have. There are currently forms for submitting and handling of bullying, harassment, and suicide. There's even a suicide assessment. Use them. Power School also has a behavior tracking system. Why are we not using this? It allows not just reporting, but transparency with parents. A full review and simple rules can make the system effective and fair for all students. Finally, allow the parents back into the middle school and high school. A strong school community is built on partnership. Parents should not be pushed away, but welcomed through PTOs, classrooms, involvement, and events. The time for change is now. This is not about blame, but this is about we need to build a system that works and effective handling of issues when it does not. A system and culture where students feel safe speaking up, parents can trust the process, and school staff have the tools they need to enforce policies effectively. Every one of us imagines a school where students walk into the building with confidence, knowing they will be respected, heard, and that bullying and harassment will not be tolerated. That is the school culture we must create here at TK, because our students deserve the best. I do have a set of documents for the board and superintendents with
That's
copies.
3 minutes.
Finish
Thank
that.
you for your comment.
I'll finish her speech. Oh, where'd you leave off? I would like to provide the boards and superintendents with copies of the letters for the community, from the community who could not attend or unable to speak up or did not feel safe doing so, so their voices and stories can still be heard by you. Thanks.
Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, could you state your name, please?
My name is Jeanette Williamson. I live at 4078 Bull Rush Drive, Northwest Grand Rapids. Good evening. My name is Jeanette Williamson. I come to you before tonight as a mother, a former special education and general education teacher, a current substitute teacher, and most importantly, a deeply concerned member of this community. Throughout my education and teaching career, I've always been taught that a child's safety is the school's primary responsibility above everything else. It is the foundation upon which learning is built. Studies have shown that when a child feels safe in their learning environment, they can achieve great things. But when that safety is compromised, the consequences can be devastating. Every day, schools bear the immense responsibility of returning their children entrusted to them back to their families safe and well cared for. As a mandated reporter, I, like every educator, am required by law to report any concern about a child's well-being. This is not a suggestion. This is not optional. This is the law. Yet, here we are today facing the harsh reality that despite these laws, despite the policies in place, a child was failed. I personally knew this child. Her name was Natalia Moore. She was a bright light to those who knew her and loved her. She had so much promise, and she was one of my daughter's best friends and teammates. Those who loved her are left eternally heartbroken. This loss is not just a personal tragedy. It has shaken the entire community and beyond. It reaches deeply into the hockey community where Natalia was loved and supported. I have personally had to have the devastating conversations with my own children, ages 11, 9, and 5. Conversations that no parent should ever have to have. As a family, we are struggling to comprehend the loss. Thank you. We are struggling to understand how a school system could fail an innocent child so completely. We are struggling alongside our hockey community where parents, coaches, and teammates alike have also had to have these heartbreaking questions. The why and how could this happen? Sorry. Let me be clear. The loss of Natalia Moore has been felt far and wide. Our hockey community is like a family, and that family has felt the impact from all over the United States, Canada, Australia, and beyond. Organizations from around the world have reached out to our team to offer condolences and support because of this tragic loss of such a bright young soul. I call for change, not just in this community, but in every community. We cannot sit idly by and allow not even one instance of bullying to go unmet with consequences and accountability. There must be a zero tolerance policy because one life lost is one too many. When you ignore these behaviors, you are encouraging them. I ask you to ask yourselves a deeply personal question. What if this was your child? What if you had done everything right and gotten all the supports put in place?
That's 3 minutes. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I leave a copy for you?
Yes.
Where would you like me to leave it?
I'd like one. Thank you.
Can you state your name, please?
Kieran Merrill. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kieran Merrill, and I'm a junior at Thornapple Kellogg High School. I wish I didn't have to stand here today. I wish I could say my school protected me when I needed them the most, but they didn't. They failed me just like they failed Natalia. In 8th grade, I was bullied and sexually assaulted. Every day, I carried the weight of fear, pain, and isolation. When I couldn't handle it alone anymore, I did what we're told to do. I reached out for help. I spoke to counselors. I spoke to the principal. I spoke to the assistant principal, and I told them everything, and they did nothing. Not only did they ignore my pain, but they made things worse. They told the very student that I reported that I had complained about them. That only fueled the bullying, making my life even more unbearable. Eventually, it became too much. Halfway through my 8th grade year, I was admitted to a mental hospital after attempting to take my own life. I wish I could say that was the turning point, that after that my school stepped up, but they didn't. Freshman year, I was still in a dark place. The assaults didn't stop. I begged for help again. The school handed me a no-contact order, but when the person who hurt me violated it, they faced no consequences, even though the principal had signed off on them. Sophomore year, things only got worse. I lost people I cared about. I lost my motivation. I was drowning, and once again, I turned to the school for support, and once again, they did nothing. The administration completely shut me out. They ignored my pain. They ignored my cries for help, just like they ignored Natalia, just like they have ignored and failed many others. Schools are supposed to be a place of safety, a place where students can learn and grow without fear, but when students like me come forward, when we speak out and when we ask for help, we are met with silence, with inaction and indifference. So I ask, how many more students have to suffer before something changes? How many more voices will be ignored? How many more lives will be broken before schools finally take some responsibility? I refuse to let my story be ignored. I refuse to stay silent because students deserve better. We deserve protection, we deserve to be heard, and we deserve a school that cares. Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran.
Could you state your name, please?
Sienna Schalk. I'm a junior at the high school. Mental health struggles, bullying, and suicide are not just personal issues, they are community issues, specifically school issues when brought to the attention of an adult who is expected to be a mandated reporter. Our schools are intended to be a safe space where students should not have to go through the anxiety of simply being perceived. However, I believe our schools have become the cause of these struggles. I'm not able to give specific numbers because I don't have access to reports, but if you were to walk into schools and ask students if any struggle with bullying, anxiety, or depression, more than half of them would say yes to one, if not all 3 of these questions. We've gone to counselors, teachers, friends, and for some, it feels like there's only one option left. In 8th grade, I became very depressed and my anxiety only worsened. Once I got to high school, it was a whole new ballgame. Thus, last year, I was in my sophomore year of high school. The struggles with bullying became bad. Towards the end of the year, the bullying got worse. I was getting called mean names daily, and people were telling me I should just die. The last week before summer break, somebody made a fake TikTok account of me. Though it didn't seem like much to the people who saw it, I've thought about it every day. I showed a teacher about the account that was made of me, and they said 4 more days until summer break. The joke went on until summer, and it still does sometimes. It came to the point I was receiving texts saying I should just kill myself. I woke up every day wishing that I didn't. Clearly, I'm still standing, but not everyone is so fortunate with a second chance. I'm comfortable sharing this story of my own because I want to change. It shouldn't take such serious measures for changes to happen. Bullying doesn't seem like much to the naked eye, but when you put yourself into somebody else's shoes, it makes you have a whole new perspective on life. On the first day of school, we have an assembly where the principals say that they have a zero tolerance policy for bullying, yet it still happens. We have a mock crash every other year before prom to help prevent drinking and driving. After the mock crash concluded this last year, I talked to the principal and I said I thought it wasn't okay and fair that we did stuff for drinking and driving, but nothing for bullying. I was told there would be changes, but where are they? While our schools offer some support, there is not enough. Without taking serious action to students' mental health, we risk losing more students to preventable tragedies. We cannot wait for another beloved student to take his or her own life due to the lack of action in this district. If we don't do anything to help prevent this in the future, there will only be more pain to our community. There are students in the middle school who feel ashamed of their feelings and grief. They went out of their way to create a vigil on Natalia's locker the day after her passing. The administration took it down and threw it in the trash because it was a distraction against school policies. I've read the student handbook from front to back, and nowhere is it against guidelines to decorate a locker. I spoke with our superintendent and was told that the reason the vigil was taken down was because, and I quote, "We don't want other students following this behavior." Students will follow this behavior, not because a locker is being decorated to remember, but because it seems the administration does not care about a student's death. I do not believe it is right nor professional to belittle these students' feelings and how they grieve. The administration needs to be better and more supportive, not quieting students for remembering and appreciating Natalia's life. It needs to be talked about and it needs to be recognized. It should not be kept quiet. I urge you to prioritize mental health and bullying prevention. This issue cannot wait. The students in your district deserve to feel safe and supported in their everyday lives. I'm standing here for Natalia's and others we have lost to suicide. Justice will be served. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sadie. I have 5 children at TK, ranging from kindergarten all the way up to 11th grade. Before I begin, to the Moore family, you have my deepest condolences. The strength you have to advocate on behalf of your late daughter is an inspiration. To the board, thank you for allowing this community to voice their concerns. The definition of inclusion is not a set of strategies or a placement issue. Inclusion is about belonging to a community, a group of friends, a school, a community, or a neighborhood. Think about that quote for a moment. Inclusion is about belonging to a community, a group of friends, a school, community, or neighborhood. While TK offers an amazing inclusion program for children with special needs, we are far from providing an inclusive environment for all children at TK. Next year, when my children graduate, we will be fifth generation TK graduates. My family and I have extremely close connections to TK, as I have worked in this district as a cheer coach for nearly 10 years and a preschool teacher at the ECC for 5 years. I love TK, this community, and this district. However, as a mother and a former employee, I have major concerns regarding policies and procedures related to mental health, bullying, and trauma-informed practices. My daughter has a background of abuse and neglect due to her biological mother's substance abuse. As a result, she developed anxiety and depression from her trauma. As a parent, it is a helpless feeling watching your child struggle both with their mental health and their physical health. As she began high school, there were numerous peers that targeted her based upon her weight. These peers relentlessly degraded her, calling her, "You fat bee, you should just kill yourself." She went to an adult to seek support, and they were dismissive, clearly not following the district's policy regarding bullying. Additionally, she developed an eating disorder resulting from this bullying, and we spent a significant amount of time as a family supporting her through mental health therapy and dietitians. In my time, I was employed at TK as a preschool teacher. I had the honor and privilege of working with some really, truly amazing coworkers and families in this community. As an early childhood educator, I'm required by law to uphold my CPR and first aid certification. In my 20 years in education, I only needed to use this once. However, educators encounter children with trauma every single day. And I will tell you, the last trauma training that TK had here was 2021. Not acceptable. There have been so many people that have been employed. I brought these concerns up to multiple administrators. It was ignored. I even created and developed a trauma training. It was ignored. I created and developed the possibility of bringing parent education.
That's 3 minutes.
It was ignored.
Thank you for your comment.
Thanks, Sadie.
Good evening. My name is Stevie Barnett. I live here in Middleville and have 3 daughters who all go to TK. I am not only a mother, but a former TK graduate and a former educator as well. My husband has also been an educator and a K-8 building administrator for over 25 years. We are a family who values public education and the people who work with our children every day. With that said, We can care about the people in our community who lead our schools and also demand that they be held accountable for their decisions and their actions. I often hear that parents who are unhappy with how things are being done just don't get it. They don't understand policy and student discipline and how district operates. I want you to know that I do, in fact, get it. As complex as it may be, we cannot allow the district to continue to say, this is just how it's done. Without any expectation, there will be questions or accountability after the fact. Questions about policies and procedures should be able to be answered and addressed. Building leadership should be held accountable for decisions that are made, especially the ones that were made after the fact in this recent tragedy. To refuse to allow students to grieve properly following the death of a classmate shows the glaring lack of evidence-based, trauma-informed training that our leaders have received, and we have to address it. Many of us parents are tired of hearing that bullying is handled with zero tolerance, when we know that isn't true, tired of hearing all about the mental health resources available when the district has not implemented trauma-informed practices or an anti-bullying program across the board. Countless families have shared their stories with me over the past 2 weeks, countless students as well that have been left feeling ignored and unheard. I want to know that the building leadership at both the middle school and the high school are going to begin following the code of conduct outlined in the handbook. I also want to know that they will begin reporting all incidents of bullying and sexual harassment to the state as required by law. Did you know that only 2 bullying incidents were reported by the high school last year? 2. Unacceptable. We have to do better. If the middle school and high school leadership cannot step up, then they need to be let go or resign. As in any other profession, this should be no different. Our children deserve to feel safe. Our families deserve to know that when they bring a concern such as bullying or sexual harassment to the building leadership, that it will be dealt with swiftly. We can't stop bullying, and no one is asking the school district to do that. What I am asking for is that we address the lack of specific procedures around follow-through in these incidents, and the district holds our leadership accountable for investigating, documenting, disciplining, and reporting all incidents of bullying. And I want to make one final distinction that district leadership often seems to forget, and that is that this school board does not work for the district, and you are not meant simply as a figurehead to represent its interest. This board was elected to serve all of its stakeholders and to hold the district and its leadership accountable, and that is what I am asking you to do here tonight. Thank you.
Ryan Olsnevich. I live in Middleville. My daughter went to TK school her whole life. She started having issues with kids picking on her in elementary school. She's always been a bigger kid, so she would get picked on for the way she looked. It happened at school and on the bus. I had gone to the school, talked to teachers, principals, and even the superintendent, and still nothing was done. Then middle school happened, and that's where it took a turn for the worse. She started to distance herself from me and pretty much anyone. She went to an activities night in middle school. She was sitting alone by the window in the cafeteria, minding her own business, and a group of boys came up and started picking at her and taking pictures of her on their phone. She asked them to please stop, and it continued. I got there to pick her up. She was outside in tears. After she told me what happened, I walked into the school to talk to the principal. He said they would investigate it. I called the next day. He said they pulled up the video. They were talking to the boys. Nothing was done. Swept under the rug, something TK is good at. I got a call from the school counselor saying my daughter feels she's going to harm herself. I ran out of work, got up to the school, took her right to Pine Rest. I can tell you as a parent, that is one of the hardest things I ever did was walk away from my daughter while leaving her at a mental health hospital. This was the first of many visits to Pine Rest. From 7th to 8th grade, she had 32 different counselors until she met number 33. She clicked with him and still sees him till this day. High school, she came into her own, still struggling daily. I got to know a handful of the administrators. Well, there was a big part, they had a big part in my child making it. I had talked to the high school principal many times too, and the superintendent, and again, of course, nothing got done. There was one time she was in the process of trying to take her own life. I remember throwing my body over her to keep her from succeeding. I was bound and determined my child was going to be a statistic. She did graduate in 2023. It was a struggle for her to get there, but she did it, and I'm proud of her. Through everything, she made it past her TK school years. She still struggles with her own struggles, but the bullying has stopped because she's not in this environment anymore. I am her biggest cheerleader. I will always speak very openly about mental health. The stigma needs to go. Bullying needs to stop. Kids need to be held accountable. It starts at home. The ones that bully are learning it somewhere. I'm a strong believer in children learn what they live. There needs to be more adults where kids are at. My daughter told me most of the time the bullying was in the bathrooms, hallways, and lunchroom, and social media. There should be a zero tolerance. If grandparents can be charged for a grandkid shooting another kid, or if a parent can be charged for a kid doing a school shooting, then maybe parents need to be held accountable for their child bullying another child. Maybe that would open some people's eyes. I may not have known Natalia, but she has taken her own life because of bullying that should have never happened. This has been an ongoing issue and it needs to stop. May Natalia rest in peace, and TK, you need to do better.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Erica Schaefer. I'm a senior at Thornapple Kellogg High School, and I'm here to speak about something that should have never happened. Natalia Moore was a 12-year-old student at TK Middle School, a 7th grader, a hockey player, a daughter, a friend, but above all, she was a child, one who was bullied so severely that she saw no other escape than to take her own life. Natalia reported the bullying again and again. She asked for help. In the school, the system, meant to protect her, did nothing. Now she's gone, and even in death, some of her classmates still ridicule her. Even in death, she is not free from the cruelty she endured while she was alive. And how did the school respond? The students who cared about her made a small memorial. It was torn down. Their reasoning, no memorials on school grounds, yet a memorial for Bob White still stands on our football field. So which is it, a rule or an attempt to erase the backlash of the failing student who begged for help? Students wrote LLN, meaning long live Natalia, on themselves of honoring her. Staff told them to wash it off, just like they try to wash away their responsibility. I know what it's like to beg for help at the school and be ignored. In 7th grade, I was bullied terribly. I told adults that I was self-harming, and no one told my parents. No one intervened. No one helped me. My parents only found out when they walked in on me trying to take my own life at 13 years old. They went to the school knew, and they did nothing. So when TK Middle School brought in a crisis team after Natalia's death, I had one question. Where was Natalia's crisis team? Where was her safe space when she was still alive? Because the truth is, Natalia didn't die because she was weak. She died because the school failed her, just like it failed me, just like it continues to fail students suffering in silence. And it breaks me to know that she was supposed to go to Cedar Point with my family this summer. She should still be here. She should be laughing and making memories, looking forward to high school. Instead, she's gone. I have a little sister in the district. She was Natalia's classmate, one of her best friends. And I am terrified that one day she might go through what Natalia and I went through. That one day she might need help. She might beg for someone to listen, just like Natalia, just like me. She will be ignored. So I'm here to ask, when will it stop? How many more kids have to suffer, have to die before the school takes bullying seriously, before the school holds itself accountable? Natalia Moore should still be here today, and the fact that she isn't is on every single person who saw her suffering and chose to look away. That cannot happen again. Change needs to happen, not empty words, not performative gestures, but real action. Policies that actually protect students, staff that take bullying seriously, accountability for those who fail to act, because if nothing changes, Natalia will not be the last person the school loses, and I refuse to let her name be forgotten. Thank you.
My name is Mira Moore. I'm Middleville resident. My name is Mira Moore. I stand before you tonight, not just as a mother, but as a grieving mother. A mother who lost her baby girl to suicide because of relentless bullying. No parent should ever have to bury their child. No child should ever feel so hopeless, so broken, that they believe leaving this world is the only escape. But my daughter did. She was kind, full of life, had a dreams that should have carried her into a beautiful future. But instead, those dreams were stolen by cruel words, by relentless torment and a system that failed to protect her. Bullying is not harmless. It is not just kids being kids. It is a poisoning that seeps into the heart of its victim, convincing them they are worthless, unwanted, and alone. But they are not alone. My daughter was not alone, and yet she felt she had no way out from the bullying by her peers and the unintentions that was shown through a school we trusted. Throughout the times Natalia was bullied and harassed, I was never formally notified by the school. I always find out from here after the incidents occurred. There were days when she preferred to stay in the school office to complete her schoolwork rather than return to the classroom, where she continued to endure cruel and demeaning remarks from a group of students. Despite numerous reports from myself, Natalia, and her classmates, both verbally and written, the school failed to follow its own guidelines. I personally spoke with the counselor, the principals, and the prior superintendent on multiple occasions. This neglect not only shattered her emotional well-being, but also disrupted her ability to succeed academically. She was left feeling unheard by those who were supposed to protect her at school. When I tried to transfer Natalia to Caldenia under school of choice, it was initially considered, but then abruptly denied by the principal. To this day, I've never received no explanation from TK about why her safety wasn't prioritized. Bullying continues at TK, unchecked and unaddressed. Why are expectations not being enforced? I am here today to beg you. Stand up, speak out, save a life. To those who witness bullying, don't turn away.
I'm sorry, the 3 minutes is elapsed. Thank you for your comment.
Okay. I'm Heather Strong. I've been like Natalia's aunt since she was born, and I'm going to continue her statement. Okay. Thank you. So she said, to those who witness bullying, don't turn away. Be a voice for those who feel voiceless. Show kindness where others show cruelty. Let them know they are seen, loved, and that they matter. To parents and educators, we must do better. Our district and community must create spaces where bullying is not tolerated, ignored, or excused. To anyone suffering in silence, you are loved, you are worthy, and your life matters. Please don't give up. There is hope. There is help. No mother should cry herself to sleep, clutching pictures of the child she lost. We must create an environment of kindness, transparency, and a place where our children feel safe to speak up. One child lost is one too many. The schools and community must address this now. Stand up, speak out, and save a life. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Evelyn Arnchenbolt, and I live in Middleville. I'm very nervous to do this speech, so please excuse my stuttering. I was bullied beginning in 4th grade. I struggled with it all the way up until about my freshman year. I have gone several times, and it was really hard to. I wrote several notes to my 5th grade teacher, Ms. Kellogg, and the principal and my mom. The only time that I have ever seen anything done was in 5th grade. When I went in middle school, nothing was done. When I got physically screamed at and came after, when I told the teacher that someone in my fitness class was stealing stuff from people's lockers. I got screamed at. I went to the office right after that because I was directly screamed at and scared. And they really did nothing about it. That did not make me feel safe whatsoever. And in 5th grade, on the walk home, I would get yelled at, tripped. I got hit once. Mr. Bruno was our principal then. He was the only person that did something about it, but he really couldn't do anything about it because it was off school grounds. I believe he walked me home for about a week, and my brother would pick me up across the street, and that's when it stopped. And then to this day, sometimes that person that did it still yells at me. There has to be a change because sometimes I still don't feel safe. I came up here without a speech because I did not feel safe to. And I struggled with suicide from 5th grade. I was 9 years old because that's when stuff happened to my father. I had trauma, and it was just hard for me to grip what happened. 9 years old is when I started struggling, and I had horrible counselors that I went to who really didn't know what to do about it. And I attempted 3 times, and still nothing was done. I'm sorry. Bullying has to stop. And I should not have to be here talking about it.
You did good.
And it got better because I am now with my counselor, Brett, and I talked about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paula Pranger, and I live on Thornburg in Middleville. My husband is from TK and has gone there, and I have 5 kids. 3 have graduated, 1 is in high school, and 1 is in 5th grade, gonna go to high school. And our 3rd child in elementary ended up getting bullied. And we went to the teacher, the principal, over and over, didn't get anywhere. And we ended up having to pull him out for 2 years, and I homeschooled him. And then my sister, she called me a few years ago and said, our son, which is in high school, is getting bullied so bad. We have gone over and over with them, and we can't get anywhere. They ended up having to transfer schools for him because nothing got done. Both her and I both got told the same thing. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can do. So we ended up putting our son back in. He graduated. But out of that, I ended up writing a children's book series about bullying. It's in all the libraries at TK and other schools. Thank you for that. But I also go around and speak at schools about bullying. And last year, the middle school actually contacted me and asked me to come and speak. And I was emailing back and forth, and then it just stopped. And I kept emailing and saying, hey, I'll do it absolutely for free. I won't charge a dime. I don't care. It's not about money. I want to come for free. I said, this is so important of a subject, and I never heard back. And so it was crushing, especially since it's the school our own kids go to. And so I just want to really quick, unless you've had a child who has been bullied, I don't know if you fully comprehend anybody that to watch the spirit come leave your child, the joy, the spark in them, it slowly just leaves them until they're a shell and they're not themselves. And as a parent, you try everything you can. But we know the school cannot stop it completely, and we know that. But we're asking something to be done. At work, people have come up to me lately and have said, hey, Paula, we've heard about your school. And they said, everybody's been talking, you're the school that can't handle bullying. And I thought, that is not what TKs want to be known as. So we are just, as parents that have had kids that have been bullied, we're asking to do something. And that's what we're asking. Thank you.
Hello. First, I want to say thank you for everyone who so bravely shared your stories tonight. My name is Ann Clute. I'm from Middleville, and I'm a TK parent. We have been talking, obviously, a lot about bullying tonight. It is devastating that it took the recent tragedy to bring this ongoing issue to light. While there have always been bullying, our kids today are living in a completely different world than we did when we were their ages. They miss crucial years of socialization where they typically would have been learning empathy, to work as a team, and to manage their big emotions. There's also the issue of social media. They can no longer escape the constant judgment of their peers. While the current administration has agreed that the recent tragedy was not handled correctly and that there are issues that need to be addressed, that doesn't really matter, as Mr. Enslin is only here for a short period of time. We need to get a qualified replacement that will work with the community and the school board to make TK better. In order to do this, you need to unite as a community and show all the prospects that we want the best possible environment for our children. This is really on us. Qualified superintendent candidates have rescinded their applications after watching the last school board meeting. If we do not get a good superintendent, these issues will not be taken seriously. How can we trust a board member that has multiple police reports filed against them for harassment to take the right stand on bullying? The same goes for a board member that has posted pictures of people's children online after the parents have simply disagreed with them. Or even the board member whose own children have been brought to the administration for bullying behavior. Not to mention that a majority of the current board has been vocally against social emotional learning. Now, it isn't all on the board. We need to do better in our families as well. The current culture seems to celebrate behaviors that were correctly once seen as shameful. The rampant racism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, etc. that is running through the halls of our schools is learned at home. We need to teach kindness, empathy, and acceptance. Without these qualities, the problems will only get worse. Thank you for your time.
Cayman Heemstra, I'm a high school senior. I've experienced bullying since the middle school. I spoke up repeatedly, but the staff proved to me that they never cared enough. This essay secured my college acceptance in under a month, the fastest response I ever received to my story of bullying. The first time I got called down to the office, I felt apprehensive. I knew in my heart what this was about. I dreaded this conversation, not because I had done anything wrong, but because others decided that who I was made me a problem. 2020 was the year I first expressed my gender identity. I passed as a boy, but that didn't seem to matter. I was too much of a boy for the girls' restroom, but not enough for the boys. From the moment I stepped into the bathroom, my life became a battleground. The whispers, soft enough to be deniable, but loud enough to sting. Then came the glares, avoidance, the disgusted look from boys who saw me as an intruder. The principal told me that the bathrooms were to be used in a bathroom manner. But that wasn't the real issue, and we both knew it. Before this, there was no strict transgender restroom rules, but suddenly new rules were made, just for me. I was told to use the office bathroom or the lone gender-neutral bathroom on the other side of the school. I refused, and this is when the real torment began. If the administrators weren't monitoring my bathroom visits, the students were allowed to police them. Eventually, a group of boys, emboldened by the administration's indifference, went further. With me locked in a stall, they kicked the door and laughed, as I prayed the flimsy lock would hold, knowing that if they got to me, even the administration proved to have their backs. These boys claimed to feel unsafe with me as if I was the threat, as if my mere existence justified their violence that was never once considered violent. The president had enacted a federal law allowing students to use the bathroom of their gender identity. I bravely told the principal this, hoping that for once she'd hear me. She just shook her head. He may have that rule out there, but that doesn't apply here. My parents decided enough was enough. They contacted a lawyer. My father met with the superintendent and principal and fought against the bullies in the school and the ones in the administration. fought for his child's right to exist without fear. Bullying goes beyond insults or harm. It's the silencing of those who are different, enabled by those who are in power. I know this meeting isn't about me, but it would have existed long ago if my bullies and enablers had silenced me. Now another student has lost her voice. What's your plan for change as administrators gain a reputation? The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of those who don't do anything about it. Albert Einstein.
I am Zoe Colby. I live in Freeport, Michigan. And these past couple weeks have dramatically affected our community since we have lost one of our own. Many people want us to prevent this from reoccurring. It already sucks seeing one beautiful smile leave the school and never to return. It's already painful to witness friends and family members suffering, and I don't wish for that for anyone to ever go through this. We need to take stronger actions against bullying, rather than just having brief conversations with kids and them solemn listen. One suggestion is to document what's happening. For instance, the remarks kids are making. I have been one of those kids making those remarks, and I don't feel listened or heard. Numerous kids, not just in my grade, but across the district, have faced bullying, myself included. And if I didn't have my awesome teachers to help me through it, I don't think I would be here today. Bullies inflict both physical and emotional harm and online. When we report incidents to people who work in the office, they often fail to act, sometimes dismissing the issue with comments like, "It's fine," when even it's not. Frequently, the responses are quick chats with bullies or showing favoritism. When we defend ourselves, we get reprimanded. I refuse to stand by and let anyone mistreat me or others. Yet we find ourselves in trouble for standing up for what's right. I want to use my voice to prevent others from being hurt. And I never want any of this to happen with anybody. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Key Griswold. I live at 1711 Starview Lane in Middleville. I serve as the president of the elementary school PTO, overseeing all three of the individual elementary school PTOs, along with coaching Odyssey of the Minds and just being an active community member, trying to participate in my kid's life. There are a few things I just wanted to mention to the school board in regards to policies that I think would benefit our school. The first is I would love for the middle school and the high school to embrace having a PTO at those levels. At the elementary school level, just in the time that my daughter's been there, we've raised about $360,000 and have had the opportunity to, pay for some of those PBIS prizes that reward kids for good behavior. I think that would be really beneficial at the middle school level. Listening today about the tragedy that unfolded, I think as a board, considering embracing living memorials as one of the American School Psychologists Association's recommended procedures for after suicide, a living memorial is something that is encouraged, and that being raising money for suicide prevention. So while there's a lot of memorials that are not developmentally appropriate for kids, and I understand that your policies and procedures come out of research, that is something that is recommended and I think would be a light in the community in case of future tragedies, is giving these kids a way to contribute in a really meaningful way, raise money for foundations that are working on suicide prevention. Sorry, I'm looking through my notes. The other thing I wanted to emphasize as well, Ann mentioned, we really want an incredible superintendent for this district. We have a community that I think really exemplifies the fact that, you know, after tragedy, you always see kind of the helpers come along. There are a lot of parents in this room who are giving feedback on what they want to see changed. And I think you guys have a great opportunity in seeking new leadership. A lot of the leadership is gone. We don't have the same assistant superintendent, school board president. There's a great opportunity for change in this community. And so just knowing that our district is trying to bring in new leadership, getting new leadership that really is going to embrace not having bullying anymore in our community, support our parents in being involved with their kids' lives, raise us to the next level. We have got a great opportunity moving forward. So I just want to encourage you to really embrace that mentality when you're looking for our next group of leaders. Thank you.
My name is Laura Nickel. I teach at the middle school. I have a little bit of a unique perspective coming here this evening. It's my 23rd year teaching here at Thornapple Kellogg schools. When I started, I actually thought it was just going to be a one-year gig, and 23 years later, here I am. I've spent 20 years teaching at Thornapple Kellogg Middle School. I'm coming here in light of some recent social media posts and things that have happened, as I have felt a personal attack on our school and as our administration. And I don't think that that was necessarily the intent, but that is the feeling that it has been given. And I feel like I offer a unique perspective. Our administrators support not only their staff as educators, but they support them in a personal responsibility outside of work. Last year, I personally experienced a very personal, deep challenge with my own child who is struggling with a mental health crisis. I called my principal in tears, and she said, take as much time as you need. You do what you need to do. You take care of your family first. That afternoon, she called me. She wanted to make sure that I was okay. She wanted to make sure that my child was okay and being taken care of. I explained to her that I would be back to school, not the next day, but the next day for sure. And she said, again, take the time that you need. We have it here at TK. That is the family that I know at TK. That is the people that I work with. They go above and beyond to show their care and compassion for their administrators, for their staff, and for their students. The middle school administration leads with authority and heart, prioritizing the well-being of students, staff, and families. It is truly rare. As the student council advisor, I've worked very closely with them in fostering student growth and development. I've seen firsthand how our administrators encourage students to lead, share ideas, and take an active role in shaping their school experience. Our administrators are approachable, collaborative, and deeply invested in helping students realize their full potential. This brings us to a very important question as a community and as a staff member that does not live in the community. I would ask you, what do we want from this? This is a very difficult and heartbreaking situation that no teacher, administrator, family, or community member wants to experience. Is it the goal of our community to walk alongside administrators and teachers alike to foster a healing and positive environment? We need to ask ourselves, how can we come together to support one another and work towards a stronger and united force? Is the culture we are creating one of support and healing, or that of accusation and blame? As someone who works very closely with our administrators every day, I can confidently attest that their intentions have always been centered on the best intentions of students, in my experience. Their dedication to student well-being and success is unwavering. I encourage you to consider the broader impact on our school community as we move forward. A new superintendent has been mentioned many times, and I look forward to working with that person to making TK even stronger.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't have a lot to say because I didn't really come up with a speech or anything. I just wanted to share my story if it carries any heaviness with anyone or if it can help any child that's in the same situation. My name is Marley Shuford. I am a junior at Thornapple Kellogg. I went to this school my entire life. The first time I was bullied was in 2nd grade. It was also the first day I was called a slur. It's the first day I was called the N-word. I still get called that word to this day. And to a lot of people, it doesn't carry the same heaviness as it does to me. But I was called it repeatedly as a child, and it was so harsh until I was in about 6th grade. And then COVID hit, and then I got a little break, I guess. But I never went to administration about it because I was scared that they wouldn't see the heaviness in it and how much it really did affect me. And I'm one of the only black women in my grade, if not the only black woman in my grade. So it's been a pretty big issue my entire life, but I still deal with this to this day, and it has affected me in a lot of mental ways. In a lot of ways, it's affected my learning. I haven't been able to, whether it was in history class when they talked about slavery, or whether it was in ELA when we started reading this new book, and I would get called out and say, they would ask me, Marley, how do you take care of your hair? And it would just constantly being singled out, constantly being stared at. But I give a lot of thanks to my mom and my dad for helping me through it, because my dad's been through the exact same thing before, and I really appreciate them and all the support they've given me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's Giselle Thornton, and I was one of Natalia's best friends, and it kind of hurts because, we would always walk to each other, to our buses and everything, and give hugs to each other. And the moment I hugged her crying face in the middle of the hall after being bullied just hurts really hard, because it's just, you can't talk to somebody again, you can't do anything about it. And I'm not just gonna sit there and let people forget how kind, loving, passionate, and athletic, the most beautiful human being I've ever known. The worst part is that she was the only person who actually accepted me who I was, and the only girl I could ever talk to. She loved helping other people through their thoughts when people were struggling. No matter how bad of the day people had, she was always make them smile or laugh. I will fight for her no matter what and how much it takes, because she was my best friend. No matter what anybody says, I loved her more than she knew. Even though she didn't think she was anybody's first choice, she was mine. And it hurt so bad walking past her locker every day when they took their papers down and threw it in the trash. It also hurts when I walk past her locker and miss her putting on her lip gloss every day, even though she was beautiful, naturally pretty, inside and outside. I love her so much, and I just really hope the school can do something about it, because nobody deserves to feel this at such a young age. And it's just really devastating that one of my best friends has passed. And it's kind of really hard, because I've been having a bunch of thoughts, and it's just overwhelming for some people, and not only just me. But this bullying has to stop, and there's no excuse for it. It needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Regan Glinsky, Wayland. I have 2 students and an exchange student currently at the high school, and a 2024 graduate. I am far more nervous tonight than normal to speak, because I have very little trust in our newest board members. That said, I want to start with a reminder to these board members that their job is to serve all students in our district, not just the ones that they approve of. This should not be hard, but based on things that have both been said, that both have said in the past, I am fearful their goal is to make life harder for our most vulnerable populations. Or they don't understand enough how other families function to recognize that it is okay if not everybody's family looks just like their own. I do not expect these families to function exactly like mine. Our differences can be appreciated without attacking. The second part of this is that in the not-so-distant past, I felt attacked and my family potentially put in harm's way due to seeing different directions for the future of the school district. When I didn't support someone's specific campaign in the last election cycle, someone helping with this campaign took a photo of my home where my family lives and put it on social media. I don't think it was so people could come and thank me. I wasn't comfortable leaving my children home alone for a long time after that, for fear that somebody might decide to come and visit me. I don't understand what the point of that was. After that, then someone else, Ms. Stanton, actually, took photos of all of the donor information from my political action committee and also put those on Facebook so everybody knew where my home address was, as well as everybody who had donated to help have a more inclusive and friendly school board. Classic bully intimidation behavior. I don't know what else that could be called. Bullying is a problem at TK, and now some of our worst local offenders now sit on the school board. I would be lying if I wasn't worried about retaliation for speaking today, but I won't know if this happens online because I am blocked from all of Ms. Stanton's social media sites, including her school board site. It is very difficult for teachers and administrators to manage student behavior when their parents are also being very poor role models. We now have board members who themselves have repeatedly harassed teachers and administrators. As concerned as we all are about bullying, our discussion should remain respectful, and that does include the district staff and administrators. We can disagree about actions taken while remaining civil. I would hate to see this discussion take the approach that some of our new members have previously used in the past. It's not productive. I don't expect my comments to change anything, but more people should be aware of who got elected, and don't disagree with them because they can't handle it and they'll put the blame on somebody else.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Lisa Walker, formerly Lisa Forsha. I wasn't planning on speaking. My sister Lauren spoke, and the amazing people that are brave enough to come up here and speak. I live at 475 Oak Meadow Drive in Rolling Oaks community. I'm a disabled combat veteran of the Iraq War. I'm a Marine. Daily struggle is real for combat vets, and 22 a day suicide. And my daughter Devin went to the middle school. She's gonna be 20. And she had gone to the lunchroom and played a suicide recording on a 911 call. And she was come home all the time and so excited she got to sit with all the people, like had lots of friends. And a little girl turned her in at the office, and Devin panicked and she lied and said it was another girl that played the video. And she was confronted about this in front of the other girls, and the other girls ended up bullying her pretty hardcore. She was going into the office, and I didn't even know what to avoid going to class and hearing that young lady come up here and say that that's a common thing, and it's still happening. It's hard for, I have CHAMP VA, and getting my daughter into a place to accept that the insurance that I have and stuff like that was difficult. I pulled her out of TK school and homeschooled her. I'm not a teacher. She's still actually going to school, and she's 20, trying to finish high school. She has a weight problem, anxiety, social anxiety, and trust issues. But as a parent going in, I had no idea, like, your daughter's coming in to sit here and do her schoolwork, and I didn't get told for a couple weeks until they said that she was gonna go get one of my handguns and take it to the school and end her life in front of the girls who were bullying her because she's a liar, and then it just flared up from there. And that's all I got. I picked my daughter up from school. I had no idea what to do other than what I've learned through the VA and my support as a veteran who has suicide attempts and struggles, you know. And there was nothing from TK. So I sent her to Caledonia Schools, who really helped her out. The support there is phenomenal. And I would not dare to bring my son Garrett, who is autistic, high functioning, to TK. I kept him out of here just for that reason. I have 2 boys that are mine also, who one's still in high school. The cops will come to your door if somebody accuses them of something horrible, but we can't get.
That's 3 minutes. Thank you for your
more
comments.
support. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter Farmer. I'm a resident of Middleville, and I have 3 students in these schools. I didn't prepare anything because I wasn't going to speak tonight, but seeing the students speak out bravely in front of all you looking at them that's failed them this far has angered me. And I don't understand how you can sit there and not be angry too. Not just for your kids, but for all the kids. I have dealt with bullying the same way she has because I went to a predominantly white school because my parents thought it would be better for me and my educational goals and my sports goals to go to a top-rated school, but they weren't top-rated for me. I got called every slur in the book, even scoring touchdowns for them, scoring baskets for them. They still saw me as the in kid from around the way. So I became the bully that bullied bullies. And that wasn't even the answer either, because that's the only time the school did anything, when I did something to the bully. And I had to find out the hard way, not because the school helped me, but because the kid was getting bullied by his own dad. That hurt people. And I had to find a better way for myself to deal with bullies. So I started a group in school that was squashed by my administration because it was doing too good. It was pulling all the stories that they were trying to sweep under the rug. And I see that here, and it's angering me. And if you can sit here and listen to these kids and how brave they are to give their stories and not be angry, shame on you. You all need to resign. Because if you're not here to solve the problem, let somebody else do it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody outside the room who wanted to come in and speak?
My name's Mike Heemstra from Freeport. I've got kind of a half an idea here, so bear with me. I think it's very important that we, as adults and as parents, that we're able to teach our kids how to deal with their emotions. I'm appalled that the school hasn't a policy for no memorials. If you want to have a rule about memorials, it should be something that teaches the kids, yes, you need to deal with this. Yes, you can mourn this. It's part of the process. Don't take that away from them. But if you have to put some kind of time limit on it, because you obviously can't have obstructions in hallways and that kind of stuff. That's part of teaching kids. They also need to be able to move on. You don't have to forget somebody you lose. But you do have to continue. It will be different. It will not be the same. I would also like to say, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. There's a lot of heads shaking yes. I can see that already. You need to ask your kids if they understand the same thing. You're not going to stop bullying. It's very much something they grew up with. There's no doubt that kids could use a little more grit these days, but it's also just as important that we recognize what they're going through. TK does do a lot of things really good. A lot of things really good. But you can see from all the stories tonight, and I want to thank you for allowing all the stories tonight, because that's also part of this community's grieving. Kids being different from other kids is not the problem. But you can see a common denominator in every one of these stories tonight, and it's the lack of follow-through. You can have all the policies you want put in place to make you look pretty on paper, but you can see from these stories tonight, it looks pretty ugly when you don't follow through.
That's 3 minutes. Thank you for your comments.
Hi there. My name is Jessica Schrader, and I'm a resident here in Middleville. I have 2 TK students currently. I'm the daughter of an educator. I'm very fond of our public education system. I'm also a nurse who's dealt with patients of mental health for the last 2 decades. It's changing. The face of mental health is changing. Ellen DeVos has recently added an entire floor, an entire unit dedicated to this issue we're here tonight to talk with you about. In my professional role currently, I help to mitigate risk for an organization that involves making recommendations based off of serious harm events. And that's what's happened here tonight, is a serious harm event to our community. My recommendation to you is that it sounds like from what we're hearing tonight is that there are very well-intended policies in place, but we need to I would recommend looking at those policies to see if they are current, to see if they're up to the standards of the current standards of care, if they align with our communities. This is a huge undertaking. We recognize that, but at what cost? I ask you and recommend to you today, in my professional opinion, that you take the time to look at your policies, see that they meet the needs of your community, the needs of your students, and see if they need to be updated. And I would not recommend waiting too much longer to complete that. Thank you for your time. To Natalia's family, I'm so sorry. Thank you for speaking up on her behalf tonight. To all of the students here, thank you for speaking up tonight. We hear you. My recommendations to this community are that you continue to show up. We do not know, this board does not know what is going on, what the needs of your students are without you here tonight. Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for listening to every one of these stories. I do strongly recommend that you take a look at your policies, where your gaps are, make an action plan, and do it soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Mia Hilton, and I'm in 11th grade. I didn't have anything prepared, but I feel like everybody in this room has had an experience of bullying, and everybody in high school, whether they're part of like a popular group of people or more on the side where they're not having many friends, everybody has an experience. And a lot of my experience came from middle school, where I got bullied on my religion and speaking out about my religion. And that really took a toll on my mental health in middle school, and it made me feel very unseen. I reported it to the school, but nothing got done. Again, another way I got bullied was by the color of my hair, which is kind of crazy because it shows that people can really find anything about a person and pick it out and just destroy them for it. And a lot of that comes from being insecure about yourself, and that's what I had to tell myself, and my parents told me a lot. And just knowing that my little sister has to go through the same thing and hearing her friends' stories is really hard. So I'm just asking for a change to come from the school, and not just from the school, but find something like, I don't even know how to put it into words, but like there's so many reports that have been put in for bullying and just nothing done about it, and that's not a single person's fault, but it's just the community as a whole needs to make a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So, we've heard a lot of perspectives tonight. My name's Beck Don. I'm a senior. We've heard a lot of perspectives tonight, so here's mine. When I was a sophomore, I took gym class. Nope, I think it was when I was a junior. Obviously, a lot of freshman boys. I didn't have any friends in that class. And I could tell right away it was because of how I looked. I fit into a certain category, and it was ultimately decided that I was not fit to be friends with. I was not fit to be cared for or treated properly. So after a lot of instances where I was bullied, I was teased, I went to a counselor at the high school, and I explained how I also was angry, because how do you expect me to respond respectfully when I was not being respected? So after a long time, I got angry, I got agitated, and I admitted to that. But I was met with that it was pretty much a me problem because I was upset. It was not a me problem. Throughout high school, I kind of learned that it seems that you need a certain criteria to be cared for by the students and by the school, and I did not meet them. And a lot of people here did not meet them, and I don't think that is fair. All students need to be cared for. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm just going to jump in really quick. I don't want to walk all the way to the other side. I'm going to say last night, most of you in this room probably watched the Super Bowl. Am I wrong? I watched the pregame. I watched every minute of it. A.J. Brown, a wide receiver in the NFL, a true legend. This man will go down in the Hall of Fame as a wide receiver. Does anybody realize last year he struggled with mental health problems? Was going to commit suicide. Every one of us look up to NFL players, NHL players, baseball players, whatever it may be. We have a legend, somebody we look up to, somebody we appreciate, respect. I don't step in these schools every day. These kids do. From what I've gathered, mental health isn't talked about. Why do we push mental health away? There's no reason to. We have NFL players talking about how they struggle mentally, coming out on national television to people across the world. But yet, in our schools, our community, we can't speak about this. We need to do better as a community, 100%. I know there's a lot of teachers over there. Thank you for everything you do. I will never Thank you for what you do. As a community, we need to come together. Stop blaming this and blaming that one. Let's come together and fix this as a community. Let's be a leader for the next town over. Don't worry about what everybody can't do. Let's figure out what we can do to make every town better in this world. Let's be the fix.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy. I'm from Hastings, and I have 2 students in this school district. I don't really have a speech as much as like just a question. There's not a lot I could say that hasn't already been said. But I'd heard from somebody that their father worked in a different school system, and they also had a bullying problem. And he had reached out to Griffin Place, and they work with a lot of youth. They do suicide prevention and a lot of other services. He'd reached out to them to see if they could help with their bullying problem, and they were able to do that. They were able to help a lot. So I emailed Griffin Place and asked them what they thought, and they had said they did reach out to the schools around here and were turned down. They wanted to discuss the youth suicide prevention program that they have, but the schools were not interested because they were using another program. So I think we'd like to know what that is. It doesn't seem to be working very well, and I'm wondering if you guys are interested in Griffin Place now, even if it's just to listen, because I think that's a good place to start. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Well, I tried to already. Can you hear us out there? Is anybody want to speak? One last call. Oh, is there?
The only thing I've really got to say is this is the second public meeting I've been locked out of. I had to knock on the doors to gain access. I think a public meeting has to have the doors open, at least the way my meetings work. So just to let you know, doors were locked.
Sorry about that. Anyone else? Could you come up?
Could you come up to the mic so the live stream can hear you too, please? Thank you. All of your comments are extremely important. We just want to make sure everyone that's watching at home
I just
hears
want
them
to
too.
piggyback off of what Mr. Cartwright said about let's be a school that maybe other schools can look up to. One thing I think everybody needs to realize that we're not like other schools. We're our own. There's a vast difference in people here. Farmers, people less fortunate, people with good finances. There's just huge variety of people here. So we're a different town than Caledonia. We're different than Hastings. So we need to focus. A lot of people have said good things about trying to get the community and everybody involved. Focus on our community. If we need outside help, great, but our little community has to focus on what's here, I think, to come up with some solutions. There's been a lot of good solutions. I'm impressed with all the children. Jeez, amazing. Amazing kids that have spoken up here. Everybody, awesome. Thank you, everybody. I just about lost it once or twice out there, I'll be honest with you. I have a son that's been bullied a little bit. I'm not gonna get into that, but just, let's fix it for us. for our community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? I want to just double check to make sure. Okay. Well, thank you very much for all the comments tonight. We appreciate it. Since it's been an hour and a half since we started, I'd propose that we take a 10-minute break. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you're welcome to head on home if you prefer, but we do have some other things to, other business to do after the 10 minutes, but we'll come back at 22. Yes, we can do that.
Thank you. Thank you. We will go and get them. Can anyone? Oh, they're bringing them. Okay. What was that? Yeah. Can I use? Thanks, guys. All right, since they're cheering me on right now, we're waiting for the kiddos to get in here. Can I get all of my amazing Page Elementary staff to stand up? Oh, yeah. You guys sat in the front row. Thank you. This isn't all of them, but it's a good portion of them. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. This works. All right. I'm not sure where the kids are. They're probably all hiding from us or sleeping. All right, so my name's Amy Foreman. I'm the principal at Page Elementary, and we have some fantastic things to share with you. We're just going to wait for the kids to come in. While we're waiting for them, I will share some wisdom from Mrs. Kaiser's class about some of the things they thought I should be sharing tonight. So here we go. These are solid gold. I selected some of my favorites, but I have a whole stack on my desk. So Ethan wanted me to let you know that the cafeteria serves really good food at Page. Okay. Amelia's wanted me to let you guys know that we have a lot of fun at lunch. We do have a lot of fun at lunch. All right. Hadley, who is coming in here, I believe, in a moment, wants me to mention how hard the custodians work to keep Page clean. Good job, custodians. All right.
They're coming here.
Here they come. I'm going to keep sharing these while they're coming in. Come on in, guys. Braylon wanted me to say a few ideas. She gave me a bulleted list on this. Mention that teachers are doing well. We all stay above the line, which we're going to talk about, and everyone works hard at Page Elementary. All right. Hi, guys. How's it going? Did you guys take a nap while you were back there? No. All right. Make sure, Bryce wanted me to make sure, in all caps, to say that we are TK strong. All right. Ethan wrote me a really beautiful, like, hey, you got this, Mrs. Foreman, and then said, sincerely, Ethan, and then he said, also, love the workers here. I was picturing him saying that. Sorry, Mrs. Kaiser, I know. I should mention how hard the staff work and that we stay above the line at Page. And we stay above the line. That was another one. Oh, everybody works hard at Page. Everybody. All of us do. And this one was good luck girly pop is what it says on the top to me. And then it says, make sure you mention how nice your staff and teachers are. So you guys are all so nice, so thank you. So Page Elementary, I have the clicker, the power here. All right, a little about Page. We have 243 fourth grade students and 237 fifth grade students, and 52 staff members. As you can see, this is a small portion of them that came out here to support our students here today. Are you guys nervous? We got yeses and nos. All right. And we have some amazing newer teachers, and we have a good mix of new teachers, and then those that have been there since things were etched in stone. No offense, Teresa Maholsky, I love you. We have an amazing mentorship program for our new teachers to make sure that they're getting the support they need with our students. All right, so Wonders for our academics and programs is new this year. Wonders is our new ELA resource that we're using. And the teachers, you guys, okay, you guys think it's hard to learn. Our teachers have spent a lot of time this summer and this school year. I think it's every single time we meet. That's what we're talking about is Wonders. And so I have some students from Student Council. Who's speaking about Wonders? All right, I'm gonna pass the microphone around. We got a lot. You're not up yet, Foreman. All right, here you go. Make sure you introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ryan Endress. I like Wonders because it is more fun and because I like learning new things while I'm reading.
Hi, my name is Adeline Larson. I love writing responses after we read a book. It helps me learn to write on the tests.
Hi, my name is Ashton Lawrence. I like the side questions when you're reading the stories in the Wonders curriculum because it helps you understand what the text is talking about.
Hi, my name is Brian Verberg. I really like the Wonders workbooks that we get to work in. They make the work really more fun, and we get to keep them when we're done and finish what we didn't get done.
All right, so intervention. So I was like, I got to get an intervention student in here, and who better to come to a school board meeting besides my own child? So Rose is going to talk to you about intervention. We are lucky; we do have a math interventionist, and we have several ELA interventionists that help our students with reading. And Mrs. Muka, raise your hand. Don't be embarrassed. Mrs. Muka is in charge of all of our reading intervention staff. And so we've seen some amazing growth in these kiddos, including my own, who's been in intervention for a long time. Here you go.
Hi, my name is Rose Foreman. I have a TK time with Miss Muka. TK time helps me get better at reading. We read stories and answer questions about the stories. We write the answers to the questions. We use WonderWorks. It helps me to understand the story and questions. It helps me in class to get more knowledge about what we are reading. I used to be scared to answer questions in class, and now I don't feel scared. I thought before that I was just going to get it wrong all the time. I volunteered to read out loud because I'm not afraid. Mrs. Muka gives us a sneak peek at what we are reading in class during TK time. Mrs. Muka is fun, kind, and always greets us with a smile. I love TK time because I get smarter.
We wrote that at dinner the other night. I'm like, tell me about TK time. And she's like, well, she tells us like what we're going to do before. So I'm like, I tell Mrs. Benedict that I can read. Like I don't mind reading now. So way to go. All right. Academics and programs. So our teachers, so the first time I met these people, we were working on Wonders. We were starting to talk about PLCs. So PLCs, anybody know what it is? Professional learning communities, yeah. So we have spent countless hours as a district on PLCs and countless hours with our staff. So there's just some pictures of them working in the library on things like essential standards, Sorry, I have to look at my notes. It's been a minute. Proficiency scales, and then also working on those common assessments. For math, when I came in, they had already started working on common assessments for math. 5th grade was pretty set. 4th grade's now set too. And then we started looking at those wonders tests and making sure that we're aligned there as well. So with those common assessments comes that common data that we're then able to take and plan around and figure out how to best support all of our students' needs. Library programming, Mrs. Shuck, who I have not seen in here tonight, she has done an amazing job getting our kids in front of, or getting high interest materials in front of our kids. So talking about book breaks, an author will answer questions, and it's just fantastic to for our kids to get into their minds. And then she also has the genre of the month, and then the kids can all do book reviews. How many of you have done a book review and have a book spine hanging up on the window? Yeah, so they can do book reviews and talk to their peers about, hey, this is what I'm reading. So like, way to go literacy, I love it. Technology, we have our amazing teacher tech leader, Emily Potter, who took what I had in all of this presentation and made it look way prettier for all of you in like 5 seconds. It was insane. She is doing an amazing job with tech tips for parents and teachers, talking about using media safely, having access to digital devices at home, when to know to take a break, things like that. We have two classroom sets of iPads, which is fantastic. Our teachers can check them out. And then she is advising all of our teachers on tech constantly. If you have a question about tech, you're going to Emily Potter because she knows the answer. She's fantastic. So, and she's not here. So make sure that you guys tell her that so she keeps fixing my tech. All right. All right, so this is our big brag, our growth in 5th grade math of 19%. Some of you may look at 19% and be like, oh, it's 19%. But for us, we were like, yes, 19%. We're seeing that difference because of those common assessments that the 5th grade teachers are then able to take and plan for their students around. And then growth in Acadians for reading proficiency, both grade levels from fall to winter. So there is an increase there as well. And so we couldn't be prouder of these guys. They work their tails off all the time for us. Right, guys? Okay, no falling asleep in class tomorrow, though. All right. Learning environment and culture. So my goal, as I said to all of these lovely staff members, on our first day of PD together is I want everyone to feel the same joy I feel coming into work every single day. I love education. I love what I'm doing. I love TK. I love being here with all these awesome people. For Paige, we have a lot of interesting things for MTSS, which is our positive behavior support program. We have ticket drawings every week. Our MTSS team said, Mrs. Foreman, kids would love to have lunch with you. And I'm like, what about fancy lunch? Where we have to wear bow ties and tiaras and it's like super fancy. We have a fancy table. And then I'm like, we'll do it once a month. Like no one's gonna wanna eat lunch with me. Yeah, we have to do it every other week now because I have way too many tickets. I have a bucket of tickets right now. So we're doing fancy lunch. We also did our winter minute to win it, which is fantastic. And it was so much fun. The kids can get drawn to go up on stage and compete against their teachers, and they destroyed the teachers almost every time. So there's that. And then I have, the book vending machine, which is a joint venture with student council. Kids can cash in 20 TK tickets, so the kids get tickets for positive reward or positive behaviors. They can take those, cash them in, and they can get a book out of our book vending machine, which there is a picture down there in the circle. Who is talking about the book vending machine from student council? All right, you guys all are. Okay, here we go. We're gonna start down here.
Hi, my name is Brian, and it's really exciting when we get enough tickets, and I'm finally like, I have enough tickets to get a new book.
Hi, my name is Irina Richter. I like that the book vending machine gets refilled a lot. I like the varieties of the books and that they get changed a lot so more students can get a book from the book vending machine.
Hi, my name is Ashton Lawrence. The book vending machine helps students want to be better reader. It encourages them to earn more tickets and just be an overall better student.
Hi, my name is Adeline Schloff. I love saving up my TK tokens, and that it makes me want to be really good to get more TK tickets.
Hi, my name is Sage Filipiak, and I like the book vending machine because it encourages kids to get more PBIS tickets and because it teaches kids to save up for later in life.
I also love the book vending machine because we have multilingual books in there. So our students who only read in Spanish, we are able to have books for them as well as very leveled readers for our students in Mrs. Shipley's CI room. So it's fantastic to be able to get that. So, all right, Page Principal Award. I'm not gonna lie, when I was cleaning out the office and like reorganizing things, I found this bag, a giant bag of these medals, and I was like, these things are really cool. It's the Page Principal Award. So I'm sure I stole it from somebody else, but we are doing the Page Principal Award, and it's so fun because anyone on staff can nominate a kid. I've had kids nominate other kids before, like, hey, this kid was doing this. We have, everything from kids cleaning up the playground on their own to these girls wrote a letter to me asking if we could help support a family in need that lost their house in a house fire. And so it's just a really great way for our staff, for our students to recognize each other. It's just really fun to go in and like announce in a classroom that somebody's receiving the Page Principal Award and all the kids clap in there. It's a really positive moment. And then we have the Staff Star, which when I ordered it, I thought was going to be bigger, but it's this little tiny Mario star. And our staff, they're required, if you're passing it on to somebody, to write a very kind email and send it out to all of the staff, letting everyone know what staff member you are recognizing. So we're just really trying to exploit and make everyone see the positives in our building. All right. My next slide for this. So again, we are working on building a culture of learning and our environment being fun, and school is a great place to be. Kids want to come to our school. So that is, again, one of our goals. So we have several classroom lessons that happen with counselors and social workers. They come in and talk to our students about various topics. They also have small group sessions for grief, friendships, anxiety, all sorts of things. We have a fabulous links program, which if you take a look, does this have a laser pointer? Oh, it's not, can't really see it up there. So this picture right here, these two are links, and one of them's Brian right here, working with one of the students from Mrs. Shipley's class, and they're at Starbase. And so these friendships transcend the classroom. They transcend out into recess. It's amazing. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. It's such a beautiful thing to see, and I wish you could all see it too. Okay, not crying. Not crying, I'm good. Okay. Living our day above the line is something that we started this year. So, when you say like, hey, there's a line, don't cross it. We want to live our day above the line every single day. It's something we remind our students of. And then Mr. McLaughlin, he apologizes. He wished he could have been here. So the Mr. McLaughlin, he has the TK Mint Challenge. Kids have to memorize different phrases and then tell him what they mean for a TK Mint. And if you've never had an orange TK Mint, you got to try them sometime. It's life-changing. And then we are very proud to be a Capturing Kids' Hearts school. Our district is a Capturing Kids' Hearts district. So that is more amazing things. All right, communication and community engagement. You guys are hearing it here first, and they didn't tell me I couldn't tell you, so I'm going to tell you anyway. So we wrote a grant for Wood TVA and Spartan Nash stores for $1,000 for our hammock garden, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and we won it. Like, I literally hit submit, and Rose helped me proofread it. I had to read it to her before I hit submit on it, and we won it for $1,000. So watch for us in the month of March. We will be on Wood TV8 apparently. So it's for Miss Rossi's class. So we were super excited. That was another fun thing to go down there and tell them. Our teachers are constantly writing grants to bring new science, new technology, Facebook check out TK Schools Facebook. We send as much as we can to them, so that way everyone in the community can see the fun things we have going on. Our parent newsletter weekly, send that out as well. Our PTO is fantastic. Some of our PTO friends are here. Go PTO, we love you. You guys are awesome. And then this year, we, for Veterans Day, did a Veterans Day walkthrough. So several of the staff members brought in things from their families. I had stuff from World War II and World War I. From service members in my family. Mrs. Maholsky had the biggest display down by her door. It was amazing. Just the history, and then the teachers were able to take their students to walk through and learn about different branches of the military and learn about people's service stories. We did have a featured local veteran, Deputy David Price, who's from the Middleville unit. He spent several years in the Navy, and so he was able to come in, and he actually was able to talk with a couple of classes about his materials that he had. So that was a very fun learning experience, and I learned a lot just walking around too, so it was very cool. Student Council did an amazing toy drive, and you guys had so much stuff. I'm going to start down here. Who's talking about the toy drive? Here we go.
Hi, my name is Hadley DeHoog. I like that we got to help 522 families get toys.
Hi, my name is Lucy Curtis. I like that we got to help kids enjoy their presents for the holidays.
Hi, my name is Monroe Havman, and I like shopping for the kids.
Hi, my name's Harper Head. I like that we helped a lot of kids that needed toys and didn't have money.
It was seriously amazing, you guys, to see overflowing, and Mrs. Schneider's like, I don't know where we're gonna put all this. So we had a lot of amazing things. Here we go. Say that.
Everything went to Berry County families. 522 families here in our county.
It was amazing. If you haven't checked out our Facebook page, you really do need to see the Wax Museum get-ups that some of these kids had. It was amazing. Wax Museum is such a cool thing that our 4th grade team does with all, it's just incredible. The Albert Einsteins were my favorite by far. I went and pushed the button for every single one of them. And then we have classroom events and parties that parents are invited to come in for. So what's next at Page? This is like the most exciting thing. So the Page Hammock Garden was proposed by Miss Rossi's class, actually to a few of the board members in the fall. It was approved to go on to the next phases, so we are in the planning phase still, figuring out how much everything's gonna cost. Good news is we got $1,000 now to play with, so we got that. But the Page Hammock Garden will be a unique space outside of our library with a classroom set of hammocks, and kids can go out there with their teachers to read. So just another fun space for us to read, write, study in, not take a nap, even though that sounds really good. And then we are updating and revitalizing the wetland. Can I tell you, raise your hand if you knew Page had like a wetland behind it? Okay, so some of you did. I didn't. I didn't know what the fenced-in area was until I found this picture. We are working with grounds and maintenance to revitalize that as a science space. I also contacted the FFA at the high school to see if they would be interested in helping us out as well. And so they're going to work on the planning of the new trails, the planning of the new spaces. There will be the biggest project, the biggest undertaking in this is an educational platform that will fit an entire class of students. So we're able to get teachers out there to use that space for science. So we're super excited. Battle of the Books is happening right now. If you have a Page kid, you're hearing about Battle of the Books, and my kid better have remembered to bring home her book tonight. No pressure. She looked guilty back there. We also are starting a Page podcast with help from the high school. Physics department, they do podcasts. We have a couple of students that are going to come down and work with our students at the end of this month to start a Page podcast. We are going to have poetry on there, Page news, staff and student spotlights, you name it, we're putting it on there. We're excited. Stay tuned on Facebook for more on that. We also have the MTSS kickball tournament and 5th grade graduation, which these guys, the 5th graders, their class representatives are actually going to be reading the names of their classmates. Did you guys know that? Surprise! So we are going to have the kids run a good portion of the 5th grade graduation this year, which is new. So we are very excited for what's next at Page. And I just want to thank everyone for your support. Thank you, school board. Let's give these guys a huge round of applause. And thank you, Mrs. Schneider, for helping.
Thank you for coming, kids. Just a second. Let's go ahead and take that 10-minute break now. Thank you for staying. I'd like to reconvene our meeting. Thank you, everyone. Consent grouping. Consent grouping item is, or grouping is established for collective approval, and if anybody wants to remove something for separate consideration, you can do so now. Otherwise, we can have a motion to adopt the consent grouping items as presented. Does anybody want to remove anything for separate consideration? I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll motion that the Board of Education approve the items of the consent grouping 3A through 3D.
Support.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the consent grouping items as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Could we have roll call, please?
Smith,
Yes?
Wenger,
Yes.
Brock,
Yes.
Stanton, yes. Hess, yes. Hilton,
Yes.
and Price.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, that leaves us at board governance standards of practice. There was a suggestion that we postpone it for a few meetings, or we could sign it tonight. It's up to the pleasure of the board. So what would you guys like to do?
I'll make a motion to postpone it.
Second. I don't know if it needs one.
Okay, it's been motioned and supported to postpone it. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carried, I believe. I'm sorry, it was defeated. So the intent is that we'll sign it tonight, so I'll pass it around and each of us can sign it. Who chooses to?
With all due respect, I will not be signing it.
Understand? I'll read the board standards of practice content. Thornapple Kellogg Schools Governance Team Standards of Practice. In order to provide outstanding leadership and best serve the students of the Thornapple Kellogg Schools, we, the governance team, commit to the following standards of practice. Make the success of all students our first priority. Set high expectations for student achievement. Demonstrate trust and respect for others at all times. Agree to disagree and positively support board decisions. Communicate openly, honestly, and transparently. Operate within the highest ethical standards. And analyze performance and execute action plans for the improvement in order to continuously pursue excellence.
And I'll make a comment. The only reason I'm not signing it is because we have a board ethics policy in place that's more specific. And I feel that we deserve to have very specific policies that we can be followed and held accountable to. So that's the one that I plan to stick with.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Committee and liaison reporting. We had a finance committee meeting, but the business that they discussed, I think, is coming up soon on the agenda. Is there anything else that you want to report? Okay. Let's move on to board items for action. High school course proposal, Advanced Agri-Science A. Who's, yeah, here we go.
Hi. Last month, we brought to you the course proposal for the Advanced Agricultural A It's an FFA course that continues the path of our students who have started as freshmen and then sophomore, and then that's where they advance on to. So we're just asking tonight for approval of that course.
Were there any questions that anybody had?
I think it sounds amazing.
Yeah, we heard about it at the last board meeting, and as per normal practice, we take 2 meetings to approve these kinds of things. So thank you for that report. I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the Advanced Agri-Science A course to be implemented in the 2025-26
I'll
school
support.
year.
Oops, sorry. I'll support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the Advanced Agri-Science A course to be implemented in the 2025-26 school year. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Thank you. First budget amendment for the general fund. Art?
All right, well, good evening. Thank you for letting me present. Tonight we have Budget Revision 1, and this will be for our general fund only. This is the same practice that we have done year in and year out. All other funds we will do only in June for the first amendment as well as the final budget amendment. Okay, so as you guys can see, hopefully on the board, the far left column is where the district passed the budget back in June with Chris LaHaye. Unfortunately, I was not here, but I do have some of his notes that I was able to find. But in total, we were experiencing a $426,000 deficit, or just shy of 19% fund balance. By all accounts, 19% is extremely healthy and doing very well. The one piece, though, was the 426. You know, that's something that we can do 1 year, but sustainability, you know, year in and year out, that is going to be something that we'll want to correct. So the middle column is where we see ourselves today. This is the current revision 1. You can see that $426,000 deficit has now rose to $604,000, but still at a healthy 18.12% fund balance. In total, we increased by that $177,000 deficit, and I'll be going into some specifics here shortly. Okay, so when you think of a budget on the general fund, it really comes down to 2 things on the revenue for unrestricted resources. That's enrollment and that's foundation allowance. Here is the enrollment summary of where things stand for the 24-25 fiscal year. As you can see, 10% of that comes in February, about this time exactly last year. This upcoming Wednesday, we will have our February count, and that will be 10% of the 25-26 budget. So as you can see, we're at 3115 and have dropped about 30 students until October count of 3,085. When you look at the weighted blends of the 10 and 90%, we have a blended count of 3,088.36. That is what we will be paid off of on our foundation allowance. Okay, here is a snapshot over the last 15 years of what we have from an enrollment standpoint. If you take out those first 4 years, you can see, though, we had 5 years of consistent growth, followed by now 5 years of student drop. At our peak, we were at 3213, and then you can see that 3,088 that I just referenced on the previous slide. So all in all, though, each student, that 3,088 accounts for $9,608 per student. When Chris did his budget, my predecessor, he based the initial budget based on 3,110. At that time, he had that February number of 3115, so that seems reasonable. From there, though, as you can see, we dropped another 22 FTE beyond that 3110 down to the 3,088. So overall, we're down about 53 FTE. Now here it takes a look at that 3140 from the prior year, coupled with where we stand today, that 52, roughly 53 FTE, multiplied times our foundation allowance, you can see we're down roughly about 505,000. Now, a lot of that was budgeted because he accounted for it at 3110. So the column on the far right is what he didn't account for, as that would be additional. So you see where you were at 3,088, that's roughly that 22 FTE I referenced, multiplied times our foundation allowance, that's another 207,000 to the bad. Okay, the other part of the equation is foundation allowance. Here, once again, you can see the last 15 years. As you might notice, we remained flat. When Chris did the budget, it was in early June. At that time, the governor did not sign on the bottom line. That came in late June. So he did the best he could with the information he had at hand, which was the governor's proposal at a $250 increase. So therefore, he budgeted based on 9,858 rather than the 9,608 that we actually got. So that remained flat. However, the one thing the state did to give districts some unrestricted funds is reworked 147A, or otherwise known as MIPSR's funds that we get in our state aid status report each month. The other thing that we got this year is what's called an enrollment stabilization fund, and I'll get a little bit more into that, but that's based on us losing so many students. They gave us a one-time gift of roughly $200,000. So we need to be mindful, though, as we move forward, that I have not seen in many budgets year after year. So next year, we may not have that cushion of that $200,000. Okay, here we take a look at the high-level revenues that we have in our district. For those that don't know, it's made up of 4 sources. We have local, we state, federal, and then incoming transfers or other. That $249,000 I referenced on that first slide, you can see here the breakup between what went up and what went down. I will get into a little bit of the specifics, but just want to first highlight what types of funds go into each category. So local, that is your tax revenue from our non-homestead millage. I believe you guys passed that here in maybe the last year. So that gives about $3.4 million that we wouldn't otherwise have to our general fund. So great news on that front. We also actively do a daily cash flow, and I'll get a little bit into this, but have interest of nearly $250,000 every year. This is something that Chris started that is phenomenal, because many districts do not have anywhere near this, but due to a little additional legwork, we're able to capture a lot of additional funds for our district. And then you have your athletic, drama club, ticket sales, stuff to that fact, going through the local funds. State, this is where the nuts and bolts are. This is where the foundation allowance, the enrollment, numerous categoricals, some unrestricted, some restricted, and then MIPSR's, that is the retirement funds. We'll get a little bit more into that. And then here's one categorical that we get about $1.9 million for this current year, and that's 31A, or otherwise known as at-risk funds. Finally, you got federal. This is all restricted, but that's your Title I, 2, 3, 4, IDEA, and then finally ESSER funds. This is something otherwise known as COVID dollars that has been around for probably 3-4 years, but that is now fallen completely off, and districts will have to sustain based on the budget that we have. So the good news is we did not hire staff directly with COVID funds, so a lot of people are concerned that you hire based on the money you have, money stops, well, you either have to get rid of people or that becomes a general fund hit. Luckily, we do not have that situation here. So, and then finally, we have an Act 18 countywide millage for special ed, as well as an enhancement millage that's, I believe, in year 7, 8 of 10 that we get a little over $1 million for. Okay, so local funds, tax revenue was the biggest reason why that one went up. We had very, very strong taxable growth, as you may have seen. But yeah, overall, we have about $3.4 million. I felt confident up in the budget by about $100,000 there. State funds, like I said, that enrollment stabilization, that's because we dropped so many students, the state gave us that one-time gift. Now, the next two, you can see one going down and one going up by about the same identical amount. The 147C is retirement funds that went down, however, expenses go down. This is money where the districts, the state of Michigan gives us funds, and then in return, they give us an invoice, and we pay it right back out. The 147A, though, that is the restructuring that they did so that we could have some access to unrestricted funds. So that one is a true unrestricted where we can use that as we see fit. Special education, 51C, up 161,000. That's due to additional costs that we had in the previous year, whether it be special ed transportation or special ed with staffing. We get a percentage back in the following year as we had staff more than we anticipated. I felt confident upping that line item. And then 23G, this is a grant we had in the 23-24 school year for $400,000. However, we did not get it this year, nor likely will we get it in the future years, but we had roughly about 200 left over. So we will continue to use that up, but that's something that we all need to be mindful of as we do budgets in the future, because every budget is on an every year basis. Things that are priorities this year will not be a priority next year, or they will come up with new priorities. So it's very give and take, and we really need to be mindful of all these one-time monies and making sure we don't get stuck with all these dollars. Okay, finally, federal funds. Like I said, ESSER, we had some leftover money, looking to capitalize on that of $74,000. HRA for our nurse, $24,000 increase. And then on the transfers, the two big millages that we have, Act 18 and enhancement millage, both due to strong taxable value growth around the county, that we were able to capture additional money. The Act 18, I apologize. Act 18, though, they had a supplemental payment due to some funds or some districts being fully funded, that they had additional money that they kicked back out. So that will not be in every year basis, but. All right, keep plugging along. Okay, like I said, investment income. This is something I think the district should be really proud of. I know I am. My previous district I worked at, we probably got $10,000, $15,000 a year. That far left column shows our general fund in the monthly income that we have got thus far. You can see it's $154,000. This is due to actively doing daily cash flow. So I'm literally tracking what's coming in and going out on a daily basis. And everything that we're not spending that day, I am shifting over to a liquidity portal within our bank that is earning between right now it's about 4.3%. However, it's been as high as 4.8. But you can see every month it's kind of gone down. Part of that is because of the interest rates. Part of that is because, we're operating under a deficit right now, so we don't have as much cash on hand. But all in all, we should get probably $250,000. And
that is a credit to our CFO. I have never seen that in all my years in central office. Just incredible. Great work.
Yep. So kudos to my predecessor. He's the one who showed me the ropes. Want to give him a huge shout out. But yeah, when he showed me that, I was mind blown. And this is just awesome. At the end of the day, that's 2 teachers, or that's X amount of whatever it may be. But $250,000 just in interest. Mm-hmm. So we also do that with some of our other funds, and that just highlights some of that. So. Okay, so a lot of times, we have 47 million and people say, well, hey, why don't you buy this, this, and this? We have over $10 million, though, that is restricted. So, when we get money from the state, very little of it is actually unrestricted. We have probably over $10 million between our state resources, our federal resources that have numerous strings attached to them, whether it be mental health or psychologist or at-risk or EL services. I mean, the list goes on and on. All good things, but we do have to hire out accordingly to what the And there's accountability measures too, and reports that Kim and I have to do for title funds or what have you. Okay, finally getting into the expenses. That 426 you may have noticed from the first page. So this is looking at it from expenses by function level. As you can see, the basic programs, we have a deficit, or expenses went down by $961,000. If you recalled, I said we had about $1.2 million in 147C revenue that decreased. Well, that's a benefit in our, the retirement is a benefit in our budget. That's where all our staffing is from. So that's why you see that go down so much, because that will be a balanced budget at the end of the day. So all in all, added needs went up. Trying to think on that. Added needs. That is because of grant funds. So like I said, all those categoricals are restricted funds. We have to have a balanced grant. So as revenues come up, we have to have expenses to match. And if we don't spend it all, we can't recognize the revenue. But all in all, with all the additional funds, grants that we got, that is where a lot of those go, is in the added needs. So this is the cherry on top of the daily instruction. So maybe it's EL support or special ed, or just, there's a lot of those that go into those added needs. And I'll get into some of these here real quick. This is just another way of looking at that same deficit, or not the deficit, but the total expenditures of that $426,000 increase. As you can see, the employee benefits went down by over $1 million. That's related to that 147C that I referenced. We had a little bit of increase in staffing. Back in June when this budget is passed, we don't know all our staffing. We're hiring consistently throughout the course of the summer. Even since I've been here, we've had to add a few parapros just to meet some one-on-one needs and IEPs. So with that being said, that's why that went up. The other big one I want to highlight, that other expenditures. So I have a placeholder in there of 882. So that really stems from 3 different grants. 31A, which is at risk, which is for 3rd grade reading, 8th grade math, college career readiness. We have 31N6 related to mental health. Currently, we have a job posting out there. However, it is extremely hard to find social workers at this time. Yeah, social workers, psychologists, counselors, you name it, they are impossible to find, but we're going to keep trying. We have money set aside for that, and we're trying to go there. But so anyway, so I have 882 set aside within those 3 grants as needs come up that we can place over. Okay, so you saw some of the deficits or the money that went up or down on the expense level. The basic programs, this is where all of the teaching comes from. That went down by 961. Here are some of the big ones that it went down by. You have some staffing, you have insurance, the big one with the retirement related to the 147C, and then contracted services was one big one that did jump. We've had a lot of maternity leaves and other things where we have had to get contracted services to fill the classrooms. The 203, keep that in mind as I go to added needs, where the grants are, which is next. You can see the staffing there went up about the same as the one went down. So a lot of times what happened, when you pass a budget, you don't know all those grants. Now that we have these grants, we're looking to offset them by utilizing the most restrictive funds first so that you don't have to take the hit on your general fund. So that's a big reason why we have the staffing there that went up. And with that going up, obviously you're going to have insurance and then the supplies. And then that other, like I said, that 892, that's related to those 3 grants as a placeholder for expenses. down the road. Okay, pupil support. This is a social worker that we have allocated, $146,000, but just the cost of the social worker, we have $111,000. Contracted services related to an IEP, we have to use a outside resource to help with this IEP. That was an additional $23,000, as well as some supplies. Finally, school administration, I believe, so this would be under function code 241 it's called, and that would relate to principals or their clerical staff. I believe we didn't have all of our principals hired by the time the budget was hired. I know a couple new ones, but anyway, we realized some savings on that front. And then expense operations and maintenance, you can see that went up 253, so I was a little concerned about that. However, that contracted service account, you can see it went up 107,000, so in total, we have a line item for 307,000. It was passed at 200,000 back in June. However, went back to previous years, and every year it ran about 250, 260. There was one year, I believe it was over 400. So I looked into the difference, and we had about 50,000 related to the electrical, the new signage that went in. And then we refinished the floor with that. So a bunch of one-time cost, but that we did have to incur where costs did go up. Custodial, 93,000. Staffing, we've had to just increase that to meet the needs. There's a lot of new square footage, you know, whether it be some of these new buildings or new additions to accommodate that. And then finally, transportation. This is one that we saw a decrease from the initial budget. You know, as you know, we may not be running as many routes. We're short on bus drivers, and with that, you know, we're not obviously paying salary and benefits, as well as saving on the fuel cost that we have here. Okay, finally, just a couple bit of other items that may come into play as we move forward between now and the end of the year. We have what's called PA 152, and this is the most amount of money the district can expend on behalf of a district employee. You know, whether it's myself, a teacher, a parapro, you know, whether it be a single person, a two-person family, or a full family. Right now, at the end of December, they came in lame duck session and passed that, where it was going to be a 7% increase. Unfortunately, that has been tied up at the state level, where the, I believe it's the state rep won't pass it out to the governor to sign, the Speaker of the House, I believe, and so it's in legislation. I heard Democrats are suing, and it's a whole mess, but at the end of the day, it does look like it might have some wheels to get passed finally, but that will be at a drastic increase in expense for health care insurance. When I calculated it last for an entire year, it would be roughly about $350,000. So that is something that we need to be mindful of as we look to continue down if that does fully go through. And then the last bullet, you know, the investment income, obviously just keeping an eye on that, but rates just within the past year, as you may have seen, they just continue to decline. However, I'm trying to take advantage of it as I can and just going from there. So I know that was a lot of information, but does anyone have any questions that I could answer?
Yeah, Mark, thank you for all the information. It was fantastic. Are there any specific grants that you're looking to go after here in the spring to help?
Say that again. Is there any
Are there any
grants?
specific grants you're looking to go after, or new grants that might be coming that the district can take advantage of?
Yeah, so the one I don't have in here is that water filtration grant. I believe, so that was one I submitted for back in October. I believe got 151,000, but we have yet to see it, so we don't have the revenue or the expenses built into that. It's a balanced budget, so it shouldn't impact the bottom line. But that's one that we're looking to, you know, hopefully get done sooner than later. But we don't have all the information from the state at this time. Still tracking our EL, or Section 41. That comes through on our categorical. So what's hard with the state is, they pass a lot of things, and we don't get notified of what our allocation is until March, April, and it's hard to implement anything when school goes through June. So that is one thing that's a frustration of a lot of my counterparts. Just it's really hard to plan when we don't have the money up front, and you give it to us in the 11th hour of a school budget and expect us to implement any real change. And like I said, a lot of these categoricals, they're here one year, gone the next. So you don't really want to hire staff and then have that categorical get taken away in the following year. But with that being said, there's some things that we can possibly go after that can capture at least one-time expenditures. But, it's hard to hire any kind of staffing for the long haul when you don't know where it's going to lead.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thanks for having the color coding around the arrows.
What's that? I'm sorry, I'm deaf.
Color coding around the arrows.
Oh.
When it gets this late, it helps.
Okay, yeah, try to spice it up for you. So, actually, I got one other thing. I think this is the next action item. So this is for the purchase of 2 classrooms, science tables that are at our high school. And right now, the tables that we have, I looked at them. They're probably 30-plus years old. They're hodgepodge of things that have been passed. They don't meet for the needs that we have, where you put a Bunsen burner on it or chemicals. So we needed something that has an epoxy coating that really meets the needs of it. This is just one purchase of many. It was done through the TIPS contract, so anything right now that exceeds $30,512 needs to be budgeted or go through consortium pricing. So we did have that through the TIPS contract. Ultimately, it'll come from Custer via another company, National something, but I have the write-up in there. But this is something that I think we really need to look at within our capital improvement fund. There's some furniture here within Page Lee. I mean, actually every building, to be honest, that needs updating. And to that point, we're going to be taking a tour. All 3 elementaries and myself, our supervisor of custodial, to take a tour along with teaching staff, just to see what kind of needs are out there to, as we get funds in the future, that we can be ready to go. But we do need a plan to replace furniture. As I was in one classroom and we had 4 different types of desks, some circle, some round, some didn't even have a teacher desk. Some, I talked to one teacher, what kind of chair is that? They're like, oh, I had to buy it myself. It's a $20 Amazon chair. So these are the things, we're trying to, look at the district, what can we do better tomorrow than we are today, and just really try to be forward thinking. So as we maybe have funds, we can act upon that to make sure we have, furniture that we can all be proud of in our staff and students. So.
Well, thank you for that information. We need to back up and pass a resolution for a general fund budget amendment too, though. So did anybody have any questions, any other questions on that part of it? Like to entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the resolution for the 2024-25 general fund budget amendment as presented.
I'll support.
It's been motioned and supported that we approve the resolution for the 24-25 general fund budget amendment as presented. Any discussion on the motion? We need a roll call, please.
Stanton? Yes. Hilton?
Yes.
Price?
Yes.
Hess, yes. Smith?
Yes?
Wenger?
Yes.
Brock?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And back to the high school furniture purchase, since we already have the information. Did anybody have any questions on that?
I think it's just north of $1,000 a table. That's a pretty good deal. That's not bad.
I motion that the school board of education approve the high school science classroom lab furniture purchase not to exceed
Support. If I could just share one more comment on that, that will not impact our general fund. That will be coming out of our capital improvement fund.
All right, thank you. It's been motioned and supported to approve the high school science classroom lab furniture purchase not to exceed $37,423.20 from Custer Inc. Any discussion on the motion? We don't need a roll call, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Thank you. Superintendent's report.
I'll be brief. It's been a long night, so. I do want to publicly thank Mark, who's done an awful lot to shore up central office in a lot of respects, and especially helping out the short-termer, I should say. I really appreciate Mark. He's doing some really great work. And I would reiterate the need for some attention from our capital improvement projects fund to address the furniture and the carpeting and some of the stuff I'm seeing. Where's Lee Elementary? Anybody here from Lee? Yeah, I know what you guys want. I've seen it. Well, we're not going to have enough to do everything that I'm seeing, but our facilities are spectacular, and the folks taking care of them are just doing a phenomenal job. But we do have some needs, so we'll be spending some time on that. I wanted to thank publicly Natalia's family. I got a chance to see Dad. They were busy, but it took a lot of courage for them to be here and to say the things that they had to say. We heard a lot of, I think, valuable things tonight. I'm going to utilize that to the best of my ability. I know I'm only here for a little while, but my conversations begin now, like right now. The problem and the thing that's hard to help people who aren't in our business to understand is the time during the school year is like next to impossible to get work done. Our buildings are incredibly busy. All of our people, every minute is spoken for. It's like pulling teeth to get my administrative team together for an hour and a half, once a month. The work that we do and a lot of the handbooks and so forth, we've always done that work in the summer where you can dedicate hours and days and weeks to that work. But I'm not interested in waiting. I'm interested in conversations right now. So that's what I'm going to do. I cannot put a timeline on this. I know people want me to do that, but I can't do it. I can't. And I can promise you that this work is going to continue on into the next superintendent. That selection process is critically important to this district. Let the work begin, and may it continue in some important time together. But I am grateful for tonight. I've been on an exhausting listening tour. I've learned a lot. I'm using all of it. My scribe over there took really good notes, and I intend to use it to the best of my ability. That's the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Is there anything any board member wanted to report on?
I wanted to know, so I know that we're looking for a new superintendent, and I wanted to know if it's possible that we could do a motion to make sure that we put that listing on social media, on our social media. To put the listing for the superintendent position on our social media, because I think right now it's on Indeed and on our inter-office exchange. But I just feel like if we're trying to get that line out as far as we can and get as many possible like qualified applicants, I really would love to see that on social media and spread out.
Applicants
for the superintendent position.
Superintendent.
Yeah. I just want to get that net as far as possible because it's clear like our community definitely wants us to have lots of options to choose from and to make a really educated decision. And the more that we can can get that net out, I think the better it's going to be for us to be able to pick the very best of the best.
Well, I appreciate the suggestion. I think that Andy from MLI is the expert on how to get the notice out the best way possible.
Okay.
And get the right candidates, but that doesn't mean we can't ask him about it again, so.
Sure.
But I think his expertise in that matter is important to recognize as well. But
Absolutely.
yeah, we can certainly ask him again about that.
That'd be great.
Any other items somebody wants to report on, or?
Mark said something about the tables being 30-plus years old and looking kind of rough. We're all 30-plus years old.
Easy, Mark.
Yep. Okay.
I wanted to thank Mr. Enslin too, because I know he took a ton of his own personal time to make sure that he was present for parents and for students, way more than I think anyone I've ever seen do. So I want to thank him for that. And just also for your plan to get parents and community members and students together and have that relationship with them, I think is going to mean a lot to them, a lot. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, from all of us. Anybody else? Okay, we're adjourned.